Hey guys, welcome back to Ground Zero. It's been a while. Today I'm joined by the wonderful Fab.
Hi.
Hi. So do you want to start by telling everyone who you are, what you do?
I am just I'm just the girl. And you can add actually to this sentence whatever comes from you from a pop cultural perspective. So actually, Ben, if I say I'm just a girl, what comes up for you?
Oh, it's that TikTok which I've tried to forget for ages. I've forgotten exactly what it is, but I've got the song in my head. It's I'm just a girl.
Oh, and it comes from TikTok.
Yeah.
Oh, bless your heart. That is Gwen Stefani, no doubt. I love
Oh,
that. I love that you thought about TikTok. Kind of tells like, so I'm a millennial, everybody. Hello, in case you didn't notice. So I actually used to love No Doubt. Gwen Stefani is one of my huge style icons. And I'm already going off track, everybody. Ground zero. Yeah, here we go. And that's why I asked you because some people think, oh, I'm just a girl standing in front of a boy, and that's Nottingale. And I'm like, no, I'm thinking about Gwen Stefani rocking her little punk ass off in No Doubt. And I love that you just went with the TikTok, which makes me laugh even more because I have been talking to people about the fact that I don't know if I want to know what the means. I'm not sure if I'm ready for it. So that shows my age. So hi, everybody. I am a millennial who loves to ask a lot of questions, apparently. I'm also a marketer. I am a head teacher at a school or marketing school. And yeah, I've been marketing for 15 years, asking a lot of questions to people for probably almost 20 at this point. I used to be a music journalist, which is why I am the most painful person to interview because I always start asking questions to the interviewer. So Ben, I'm really, really sorry about that. And yeah, I'm here to help people marketing to hearts, making marketing fun, and sharing my journey in running a business for almost 10 years now and everything that is in between.
mm. So obviously this interview is about your marketing school, alt marketing school. So what made you want to start that school? Was it like a desire deep down, or was it something that just popped up and you're like, yep, I want to hop on that? Sort of what was the motives behind it?
The motors were, funnily enough, I think Clubhouse. Fun. If anybody remembers what Clubhouse is, if we go back a couple of years, it does still exist apparently, not that I would use it myself. But funnily enough, it came from conversations that I've had with a friend of mine when we decided, you know what, we're gonna start having some chats. Told you like to ask questions and talk, as we can tell. And so we did on
Mm,
Clubhouse at first, and it was all about marketing because I love marketing. At the time, my business was I was helping with marketing and business, but it was in the wellness industry.
mm,
So it was less about genuinely pure marketing, which is what I do right now. So as we were doing that, it was just for fun. And I thought, you know what, I want to still teach people. I still want to, get people to learn. So I just called it Alt Marketing School just because I've always been a teacher. I used to teach my
mm,
stuffed toys when I was 10. They couldn't run, they couldn't hide. It was perfect. So I would teach them what I learned at school, which I thought was brilliant. And so I always had that streak of wanting to share my knowledge, and the best teachers share their knowledge along the way.
mm,
And then from the podcast, what happened was that was just for fun. And then I started thinking, actually, I do enjoy this. And what I heard from people that were listening, especially on Clubhouse, you used to get some engagement. A lot of people were like, "Yeah, but marketing gives me the ick. But marketing feels boring. But marketing is all about selling." And I was like, "No, I swear it can be fun. I swear marketing can be enjoyable. I swear because the marketing that I do was like that." And I realized that people, when they were learning marketing, when they were looking to learn how to do it, they will not find what they were looking for. So it was, I think, a desire deep down to honor what I think marketing should be. But then to answer your question even more, it
mm,
also was sparked up with a bit of randomness of just something that we tried to experiment. And then I was like, actually, we can turn this into a school. It's not just the name of a podcast. This can actually become something bigger.
mm. So was there any worries when starting your school? Because obviously when you start it, you're sort of going against, the all the major schooling industries. Like you've got your I've forgotten them now, like AQAs and stuff like that with all the IT and the business sectors that sort of link to marketing. How's it like looking at those and going, actually, I can do something here?
Well, first and foremost, I love that you were thinking about the names. And one of the things I love the most about any more official marketing training institutions is that they are literally ridden with acronyms, which makes me
Mm.
laugh so much because as marketers, we love and hate acronyms because just tell me what it is. But it's true, like there are all these old school like CIM and all the likes that some of us will know because you see on LinkedIn like CIM qualified. And part of me is not even like going against the giants for the sake of going against the giants. I realized that I have an opportunity, and we have an opportunity as a school by being leaner to actually adapt, which was one of the biggest
Mm.
problems that people had when it came to training. But that comes also with obviously the challenges, right? And the quote unquote worries, which is less about going against the giants per se. It's more about the fact that the reason why there are institutions that people go to is because a lot of it is clout and reputation. Hopefully, it's also great quality training that I cannot vouch for, so I'm not gonna say otherwise because I wouldn't know. I generally
Mm.
I am a self-taught marketer. I did go to uni studying Russian and English, and look what that got me. But what I realized though, having trained before I started the school, I've been training people also for other colleges and other professional kind of education and organizations for about 5 years. So I got the gist of the teaching that I wanted to do, and I was really lucky that I did it in places that were doing it differently already for
Mm.
other industries, right? But I realized that that was one of the things. The worries wasn't as much about going against them, quote unquote, because there's space for everybody. It was that I didn't have that trust and recognition. I had to build that from the ground up, which is totally fine. But if you're doing it bootstrapped, AKA, if you're doing it without lots of investments behind you,
Mm.
that time can feel a lot. It always feels longer when you're an entrepreneur. That time that
Mm.
you're spending working on your things feels very long compared to maybe the time scale of a corporate. But it felt a very long time to get there. So 4 years in now, almost 4 years in, 3.5, we have a bit more of that reputation because we just showed up again and again, delivering the best that we can do.
Mm. And obviously, as a marketing school, you have to market it for people to see it. So, what differences did you find to get those opportunities? Because you can't really say marketing school because then you're going to have like the CIMs that have put thousands into that ad space to go way above you. Was there any like unique ways you got around to actually get your school up there?
That's a great question. Part of it is in the name, because actually, when you think about it, it's relatively clever that um there was a marketing school as a podcast, for example. And I think that's the reason maybe
Mm.
why I chose old marketing school, aside from the fact that I've always been quote unquote different or weird, which if you haven't been called weird at least once, we can be friends. I'm joking. But it's kind of funny how a lot of our rebels come to us. Our rebels are our students, and they say, I just love the fact that I always felt weird, but now I don't. Now that I'm here, I feel like that I'm doing things my own way and I belong. So that's part of the answer. I think has always been that we've been really vocal about being alternative. From a practical perspective, that also helps with SEO because the name is very straightforward. Alt is not alternative marketing school, which you could not get trademarked, whereas we are trademarked for alt marketing school, which I think is pretty sweet. So that's one of the differences that we can make as well when it comes to that. So that's just from an SEO perspective. If people are looking for alt as alternative, we will come up because it's literally in the name. And we're starting also to show up as marketing school because even CIM is not called marketing school. It's Chartered
Mm.
Institute of Marketing, right? So that's from a basic perspective of just like people looking and searching. But then our marketing is very different and has always been, is all about getting an idea of the personality behind the brand, which is me and my team. We're all very similar, which I think really helps because that's the differentiator. You are coming to school, and I wanted to feel like a school, but different. So it's not just training. I wanted to feel like it is school. We are going to do some of the things that you might have done there, but it's going to be completely the opposite of what you imagine your school to be. So I
Mm.
really want to give their experience. And then we showcase that in the marketing. What it happens behind the scenes, we showcase to others so that people can say, I want that.
Mm. Yeah, no, because I can tell that you got that quirky side of marketing. Because I always see your like e-shots come in, you got your like your quiz, and then your like out the box marketing. And I think
Thank you.
I think it's very different. It's an interesting way to get marketers to come out because I feel when people go to corporate schools, they go, okay, you have to go really serious, like this is my brand, we do this, look what we do. Whereas you go, I'm me. Hello. And I really like that twist. So what made you sort of have that twist? Was it your own, you wanted to put your personality into it more, or was it some experience that you learned from someone else, or
That's a great question. And first of all, and thank you also for mentioning that. It makes me happy when other people see it as well. And it's not just me
mm,
because I'm living it. It's because if I want to do this for the next 20, 30 years of me life, I want to do it in a way that I love it, which I do, which means I show up. I told this story again in another, I think either was a podcast or a class recently, that I literally did a class at Halloween last year because it was during our quarter, it
mm,
was hitting Halloween, and I was dressed up because I love Halloween so much. So I was dressed up. I was like, you don't have to. I said to the students, and they were like, oh, yeah, yeah, she's going to put like, I don't know, a little witch hat on. Oh, Ben. Oh, Ben, I pulled all the stops out. And then you're talking about content frameworks and systems dressed up with like ghoulish eyes and a full-on makeup. It's, it's something, a sight to behold. So that was kind of fun. It was fun for me, it was fun for
mm,
them. But I realized that what happened was when I was doing teaching for others, especially live teaching, which is a big part of what we do, we have that live experience as well.
mhm,
I realized that people loved so much my personality because I just couldn't do otherwise. I physically can't not be as energized as I am. I'm a Labrador pretty much, or squirrel on speed. It depends on the day, but it's either Labrador energy or squirrel on speed energy. There's no other way. So I think that was it. It was there before I started the school. Whenever I was teaching, that's what I brought up. So I'm just kind of marching on it because if I'm going to do this for a very long time, I want to enjoy it because then my students will enjoy it. They will not fall asleep during a class. They will show up. They will have fun. They will also
mm,
be more open to each other, which I think is really important. That peer learning is a big part of what we do.
mm. So you essentially fabified everything.
Yeah. Oh my God, can I use that? Happy.
You
So
can.
cute. Love
I
it.
thought
Thank you.
that, and I thought you'd like it.
See, Ben knows me.
But no, so obviously starting a school, you can't just go, I want to teach this, that, and just whack it all together. What was sort of the decision making? Because I assume it's just you at the start. So what was your thought process with like setting the foundations of the school? Like this is where I want it, this is where I want it to go, and how I want to start it. Where what's sort of your thought process between getting the fundamentals in to then build up to the skyscraper that you eventually want it to be, obviously?
We had to go a bit sideways with it. Like actually, I had this other
Mm,
question as well. How do you start a school? And I said, well, unless you want to go into actual education, which is also a fair point. I wanted to build a school that is mainly primarily for other. We have an element of young adults that would be
mhm,
attracting, which would be, anybody who's at least at that stage where they want to try to find a career. So that even if you are 19, you might want to find a career, which is fine. Um, all the way to a lot of our students obviously are in that 25 plus, but we have actually, I would say 22 maybe plus. And some people are, we
mhm,
have had lots of students are actually in their 50s or their 60s, either because they want to refine their skills or because they're literally changing their direction. So that helps in a way that we're not we want to go into that side of education,
mhm,
which is the more adult education. Nevertheless, so you can, if you wanted to, you can attach the name school to your education business, let's say, and keep it like that forevermore. And you can say, I don't even want to have any extra accreditation that define the quality of my training, and that's what I'm going to do. And then if you build 30 years of experience and you work with lots of companies and you get all the recommendations and that support, that might be enough as well.
mm,
So we started with that bootstrapped again, that very budget friendly sort of mentality of let's make the curriculum, the experience, the training, the best that it can be first. And then I still decided to go down the road of having some sort of accreditation. So we're now CPD members, which means our most of our training, if it is a short course or if it is a cohort, they are getting accredited. So we're doing it slowly because actually it takes time to do that as well, which means
mhm,
they get seen, reviewed, improved depending on what it needs to be done to improve it, and then they are fully accredited, which means that when you get our certificate, it also has the CPD stamp of approval. You can do it with plenty of other organizations. I like CPD because it's for professional development anywhere. So you can actually use it for a lot of industries, and you can even add points that are CPD related, or it just gives a bit of an extra, like we actually are also going through accreditation so that our training is sound.
Mhm.
That helps. You don't have to do it. Some people start with that, for example. But I would say, just to give context, I'm only going to share what I know, which is what I know is a school that is for a subset of the audience that doesn't need any sort of government backed, um, extra training accreditations. We decided to go with an independent, widely recognized accreditation because I want to give ourselves that credibility that goes on top of
Mhm.
results. Some people don't even do that. So you have a big spectrum, because when you go outside of primary, secondary school, and university, if you go outside of those institutions, you have more wiggle room and you decide how you're going to build your credibility.
Mm. And then obviously with your classes, I assume you haven't gone just, oh, here's a marketing course because it's so broad. So I'm guessing you've specific down. And what I guess what I'm trying to say is what how do you decide which part of marketing you want to cover in such, because obviously at the start you had limited resources, so you had to very hand pick what you wanted to pull out. Oh, now as you're getting on, you can probably stretch out a bit more and do more. So what's the thought process between what you want to teach out to the students or your rebels?
Yes, we got the name right. Well done. Golden star for Ben.
I'm listening.
I know you are. So when see, told you it's terrible. You just can't interview me. It's a pain. I know. I just reverted back. When it comes to, you have something right there where we obviously had to just be more mindful of what we decided to do. We did one. I still do one
Mhm.
thing at a time. So actually, I go against the fact that we could basically, if you have a bit of a knowledge of education, I'm gonna try and share some business names. If you're not familiar with them, you can go look at them afterwards. I just want to say we could do the Skillshare approach, which actually I'm going to give you an example. If you don't know what Skillshare is, imagine it's Netflix, but for learning, just to give you an idea. I think that's a good
I've
analogy.
briefly heard of it. Sort of like
Yeah,
Udemy.
exactly. Or Udemy. So if anybody who's listening is completely unfamiliar with any of them, Netflix, but for learning, we could have gone that way. You can. The quality is a question that I put in there. And I think, to me, quality control, not from a case of high level quality as some people might think about it, actually is a bit less about high level quality as inverted commas, is more about the quality that we have, like our guidelines of how I want the training to feel like. And if our students come to the back of it and they say, oh my God, I actually learned something that I'm actually going to do and I actually can take action on, my day is made. And
Mhm.
to create that kind of quality training, just to give you an example, because I think answers the question, we're doing on-demand workshops now. So every month, unless it's like Christmas and stuff like that, but every month we're gonna try and create one piece of on-demand training workshop that is about 20 to 30 minutes, that is on one specific topic, so it's very targeted.
Mhm.
To answer your question as well, now we're at the stage where we can ask the students what they want to learn. So we ask our
Mhm.
rebels inside our all access pass to vote, and then the ones that get the most vote is the next one we do. But I have to write the script. I have to do the research on the topic because I'm stretching myself to topics maybe that I'm not 110% familiar with. I have then to refine the script, add the fabification of it. I'm going to fabify it. Then we need to record it, which usually I need to record it. Then I need to edit it. Then I need to create the supporting resource that they can either follow along or fill
Mhm.
afterwards. That probably is a good 10 to 15 hours, which goes completely against what you see sometimes online of how to create and record your next course in a weekend. You can. Is the quality, is the engagement, is it going to be as good as you want it to be? I don't know. So if you want to go the Udemy or Skillshare approach, you have to have either a lot of teachers or a lot of time or a great system, but also it's going to change how you market it, how you experience it. So we started, first of all, picking what we were going to teach based on our values. As you say,
Mhm.
we had to be a bit more mindful. And also, we didn't have as many students. So we kind of had to go with something. So for me, our USP and our value is all about the fun, but the impact, but also the purpose-driven marketing, which is you don't find anywhere. So
Mhm.
as a school, we're differentiating ourselves. And then as we're widening down a bit the topics, excuse me, I ask our students what they want to see. And if it's something that I can teach, that I can bring to the table, I will create it. If it's something that requires an external teacher, then we bring somebody else in. So whether it's a one-off workshop that we do live and then we give the replay, whether it's a masterclass, depending on what it is, then we're building a library of content still. But it's definitely a lot slower than the Udemy's of the world.
So just clarifying, so you did start off with the here's the set of what we're going to go with, but now instead of saying here's the course on, let's say, digital marketing, then here's a course on how to streamline systems, it's more of what do you want to do, and we'll teach it per month sort
Exactly.
of basis.
We give options, so we still kind of steer it away a bit, like we guide it. And then
Mhm.
if we see that something comes up that it has been asked that we haven't already suggested and we know somebody, then I also breach that conversation as well. So it's a mix of both, but we're more led by our students now because we can, and we have a good foundation of the things that we really needed to teach, because that's important as well. Final point. I want to make sure that our students have the option to at least fill the gaps of marketing that I
Mhm.
think are important, both from our value perspective, so the purpose-driven aspect, but also just great marketing fundamentals. If they don't have that, they can learn all the rest, but they're still going to be unable to understand some terms, to get familiar with some topics. So
Mhm.
we had to do that. It was a need, but also a must at that point because we didn't have enough students to ask questions to.
Yeah, so I'm guessing that's another unique selling point you sort of wanted to add on to the school itself is normally you get the set topics, but here it's what do you want to learn and we'll provide it sort of live or every month, but it's what you want in lifetime sort of thing. Hmm. Well, let's move. Is there any final like points that you want to bring into for the people listening that maybe want to start a school, or any general marketing tips if anyone wants to sort of learn marketing itself?
Okay, let me give us some tips for both. Okay. We're gonna start with, if you wanna start, I'm gonna say any education driven kind of business,
Hmm.
or my top tip from somebody who definitely wasn't born to be on stage, even if it is like a teaching stage. Um, Annoyingly, you can start it still, but as you are starting it, if you're new to it, practice the teaching, the delivering, the sharing, practice, because practice makes progress. That's what we say all the time at the school. And so I definitely recommend you getting familiar with that or getting comfortable with that if
Hmm.
you are going to run it. Unless you, so there's two folds. Either you practice it, which I think is good, even if you don't want to teach yourself. If you're bringing other people in, start setting the standards of how do you want the experience to be. This is just one tip. Obviously, there's lots of things that you can do, but I wanted to give you something that you don't hear in 70,000 other podcasts about starting a business or an education business. There's something that people don't think about that I think definitely helped me differentiate myself. Labrador Energy helps. I'm sorry that I don't know how for you, how to give it to you, how to suggest for you to. It's just there. Like the squirrel on speed is there and has always been. So I don't know how you can
You just
develop it
gotta wake
yourself.
up like it. Jump,
Just
jump up,
hope that's
jump out of bed, get your energy shakes in, and go running around the street 5 times.
and hope that works. And maybe it will. And if it does, do let me know. Um, when it comes to how to learn how to be a better marketer, there's again two folds here. First, if you can learn, understand how you love to learn or understand how you learn best, because a lot of people, I've seen it with thousands of students now, have a I learn by doing approach, but then you always will find a subset that actually doesn't like it as much, or it's a bit
Hmm.
harder for them. So first of all, learn how you like to learn, and then make learning an activity that you can practice. So make learning a practice or a habit. Choose the
Mm.
word. So there's two things. One, learn how you like to learn, because if actually you retain information for listening to podcasts, that's also fine. I like to put things in practice. That's what I would recommend to most people, but that's one thing to know. And once you do that, make it a practice. If you actually put into action what you're learning, you're going to be more likely retain it. So that's what I want to say. But yeah, so it's threefold. Learn how you like to learn, make it into a habit, even if it's 5 minutes a day or 10 minutes a week to start. and then build it into a practice, even if it's just sharing on LinkedIn what you're learning. That can be as far as that. You don't have to build a SEO report dashboard if you're learning about SEO, but maybe it's just like sharing the learning itself.
Mm. And I think with that sharing that you mentioned as well, it's good because if you post on LinkedIn, like you said, you then also get feedback on your learning. So it's sort of like you get a double sort of effect. And you said, oh, okay, you put down what you learned, so that's ingrained even more because you put it down on paper. Then you get all these experts coming and saying, I like what you did there. Maybe you could think of this. And then you're like, okay. And eventually you start building the puzzles.
Double, triple, quadruple learning sandwich. I love it.
Well, that's all I have for today, Fab. So
Thank you.
is there anything you want to promote wise for you? This is sort of your last little whatever you want to chuck out there. This is your section.
Let's check it out. Well, first of all, come and say hi. Anywhere on the socials aside from Snapchat, I'm sorry. FabGiovanetti, Fab Giovanetti is where you can find me. Most active on LinkedIn and Instagram if I have to kind of choose. Or my website, fabgiovanetti.com. That's a good place. I got a couple of books out, so you can check those out. And if you want to find out more about the school, is alt, like ALT, marketingschool.com as the website, and then all marketing school on all socials as well. We're pretty active there, and we're a lot of fun. We are leaning into our meme era because actually we realized that we all love memes in the team, and we just never really leaned into it too much. So if you like a good meme, our social team has got you.
I know I'll put that in the description as well, so you can just click a link below. But anyway, it's lovely talking to you, Fab, today.
Thank you
Thanks for
so
listening,
much.
guys. Whether you're on Spotify, YouTube, whatever, Shorts, wherever you are. Thanks for listening. Anyway, it's been a pleasure, guys. It's nice to be back. I'll catch you in the next one. Bye bye.